Come back, I'll forgive you. Such a foolish man to say something so condescending. What is this man misunderstanding? I will never forgive him who dragged me down to the depths of hell. I am Jennifer. A perfectly ordinary housewife, turning 44 this year. Despite being busy with household chores and work every day, I'm fairly content. It's been nearly 20 years since I married George. Looking back, we've been through a lot. I was reflecting on my married life. Right after we got married, George's father passed away, and I remember being pretty busy for the funeral. Struggling to communicate with a difficult mother-in-law. Building our home. And then, undergoing fertility treatments. We didn't have children. Of course, we wanted them and we were trying. However, due to issues with both of us, we were not blessed with children, and after discussions, we decided to live our lives just the two of us. It would be a lie to say we don't feel lonely, but I have George. Having him has been a great support for me. I'm home. What's for dinner tonight? Tonight, it's grilled salmon. Found some nice fish at the store. Oh, sounds delicious. And George sits at the dinner table. This is great. Your cooking is the best, Jennifer. Really? I'm glad. Yeah, I'm really happy we are together. George said this, looking very satisfied. I'm also glad I married him. After all, I'm this happy. Speaking of which, my colleague at work is having their third child soon. As I was clearing the table, George mentioned it casually. Is that so? We'll have to prepare a gift then. Sorry to always make you do this. It's fine. It's part of being a wife. Nothing seemed unusual at that moment. But maybe George had already started to change by then. One day. There's a baby shower at my colleague's house this weekend, so I'll be going. All right, take care. Don't drink too much. Sure. And so, I sent him off on the weekend. A rare day off by myself. With all the household chores and cleaning done, what to do? Maybe I should go see a movie by myself. With that thought, I started getting ready. Then, the phone rang loudly. Hello? Jennifer? Is George there? It was my mother-in-law on the phone. George is out right now. Oh, where to? He's going to his colleague's baby shower. As I said, she was silent for a bit. Then, with a sigh, she said, You know, Jennifer, I don't like to say things like this, but it's hard for George too. What? To celebrate the birth of someone else's child when he can't have his own? He's such a kind soul. That's why you should listen to everything he says. All right? The phone was abruptly hung up. What was she really trying to say? My mother-in-law and I haven't had a great relationship since the beginning of my marriage. The final straw was probably our decision not to have children. A woman's worth is in bearing children, isn't it? Unbelievable. What did you marry George for? I've been told such things. Of course, it wasn't just my fault since both George and I had issues. But she probably doesn't want to admit that her son is part of the infertility problem. Oh well. However, she only calls like this occasionally and doesn't come over to the house. The frequency of these calls is maybe once a month, if that. I just have to bear it and let it go during those times. I wasn't too bothered and was quite laid back about it. I'm home. That day, George, who seemed to have had quite a bit to drink, came back around 7 p.m. Hi, you seem quite drunk. Yeah, somewhat. Usually, George becomes cheerful when drunk, but today he seemed off. He looked down, or perhaps he was deep in thought. I handed him a glass of water as he sat on the sofa. Are you okay? Yeah, thanks. He took and drank it all in one go. I saw the baby. So cute. Is that so? That's nice. Honestly, I'm still not used to hearing about children from George. We wanted them but couldn't have them. Every time we face reality, it feels like a thorn in my heart pricks me. I wonder if there's still hope for us. George slurred such words. What do you mean? By the time I managed to get the words out, he had already laid down on the sofa. What did he mean by that? Could it be he wants children? My mind was racing with various thoughts. He must have thought that temporarily after seeing the baby up close. Why take a drunkard's words seriously? I tried to calm myself down by thinking this way. But from that day on, George's behavior started to change. Hey, tonight's dinner is your favorite pepper steak. Oh, is that so? Usually, George would be thrilled, but his response was unusually tepid. Maybe he's tired from work. Maybe it's best not to pry too much at times like this. I decided to quietly watch over him. However, after a while, when I said, "Hey, I want to go shopping this weekend, could you drive me?" That's a waste of gas. Just go by yourself. But, carrying heavy things alone can be really tough. He clicked his tongue and said, "What a hassle." He would never normally speak like this. His sudden change left me bewildered. Hey, the food today is terrible. If you're at home, at least do some cleaning. Don't talk to me. George began to say things like this. Could he have developed some illness? I heard that personality can change with a brain tumor. I considered taking him to the hospital. But before I could act on it, he said something unbelievable. You want a divorce? Yeah. I want to start my life over. But why all of a sudden? It's not sudden. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I'm 42 this year. There's still time for me. Time for what? You don't get it. It's my last chance to have my own child. Since you can't have any, it can't be helped. I still have a chance. Then he had his mother, who he must have called over in advance, sat beside him. She chimed in. Do you understand your position? Why won't you step aside on your own? So that's it. I'm no longer needed because I can't have children. And that's why I'm being discarded. Realizing this made me feel like I was thrown into an abyss. Without saying a word, tears flowed, and I just sat there silently. My mother-in-law had a triumphant look on her face. Perhaps a daughter-in-law who couldn't have children was never wanted from the beginning. George will bring home a young and beautiful wife. Of course, to have children with her. It would have been better if she had pointed out my flaws. Then I could see room for improvement. But there's nothing I can do about having children. Faced with such words, what choice did I have but to agree to the divorce? Why? We had been a happy couple until now. I dedicated myself to my husband, determined to live my life with him. But was that just my own wishful thinking? I felt empty and sad, with nothing to do but cry. Think of this as your last kindness, sign the divorce papers. Kindness. Perhaps it was kind to let him go if he wanted children that badly. Or are you going to ruin my life with your selfishness? Because of my selfishness. Faced with such words, I had no choice but to sign. My mother-in-law's satisfied face further gouged my heart. And then George mercilessly kicked me out. After 20 years of marriage, such treatment was too much to bear. After the divorce, I was like a shell of myself, and my parents were deeply worried. But the feeling of being betrayed and abandoned by the one I loved never faded. I spent my days crying. Maybe when tomorrow comes, I'll be back to my old life. Maybe tomorrow, he'll tell me it was all a lie. That's all I could think about. But worried about me, my friend Maggie came to visit. Jennifer, you can't let that man beat you down. You've been a good wife all along, Maggie said. Maggie has been one of my few friends who kept in touch from the beginning of my marriage until now. She's a strong and kind woman who always praised and encouraged me. I always received strength from her. In this world, there are as many men as there are stars. I won't forgive you if you don't find happiness. Encouraged by her words, I gradually began to regain my spirits. Before getting married, I worked in accounting. Despite a gap of nearly 20 years, I was able to find a job thanks to Maggie's introduction. Continuing my studies and obtaining qualifications even after marriage paid off. Interacting with others and working took my mind off things. I was enjoying my life every day. All thanks to you, Maggie. My parents seemed relieved to see me back on my feet. 5 years had passed since then. On my way home from work, I encountered a person. It's been a while. And you are? Don't be cold, it's me. You haven't forgotten, have you? What does he want now, after all this time? And he's brought his mother along. Were you waiting for me? I had no choice. I don't know where your new home or workplace is. I thought I might run into you if I walked near your parents' house. It felt eerie. What do you want? I've brought you a good offer. George is really kind, you know. You should be grateful, said the smiling my ex-mother-in-law. Her smile made me uncomfortable. I checked the time on my watch. I'm in a hurry. I told you I've brought you a good offer. Listen up. Let's not talk here, let's go into that cafe. I was forcibly taken to the cafe. You can come back if you want. George suddenly said something absurd. His mother smiled beside him. What kind of joke is this? You cried so much, refusing the divorce. I've thought a lot about it. I couldn't leave you alone, feeling sorry for you. Come back to my side. George said. I almost burst out laughing at my ex-husband's words. No, I can't laugh yet. I looked down to hide my laughter. Did they mistake my reaction for cherishing their words? They kept talking to me. I've thought about you all these 5 years. You felt the same, didn't you? You couldn't forget, right? Even after the divorce, George cared about you and waited without remarrying, his mother added. So, he couldn't remarry, after all. If you come back, there are things I want you to do. You'll be more comfortable that way, he said. It seems this is the main topic. I asked, showing interest. What do you want me to do? It's about my mother-in-law, George's grandmother. She's become senile recently, and it's been tough, she explained. I see, that's what it was all about. Come back right now, I love you. I couldn't hold it in any longer. I burst out laughing uncontrollably. The two of them looked at me in astonishment. Are you that happy? Then, Jennifer. Come to our house from today. Both of you, please keep the jokes to your faces. I said coldly, looking down at them. Who would return to be a slave now? You didn't stay unmarried by choice, you just couldn't remarry, right? How could you think I still love you after such a terrible breakup? Give me a break. I placed money for my coffee on the table and was about to leave the cafe. Then, a girl walked into the cafe. I'm back. The girl ran into my arms. Sophie. Welcome back. What's going on? I saw you from outside, Mom. The girl started talking to me with a big smile. George and his mother looked on in astonishment. Mom, what's for dinner today? What should we have, hamburgers? Yay! I love hamburgers. George looked back and forth, between me and Sophie, his mouth trembling. Mom? What? What do you mean? Are you remarried? Yes, I am. Oh. Didn't you know? Of course, he wouldn't know, because I didn't tell him. My neighbors were sworn to secrecy about my current situation, so they probably didn't get any information. It's a lie. It's a lie. You were so against leaving me. George was muttering to himself, head in his hands, saying it was a lie. Hey, how many years ago do you think you're talking about? It's been 5 years since then. Of course, I'd remarry. I asked Sophie to wait outside and approached them. But it's good that you came to visit. I really wanted to say something to you. I'm actually very grateful that you divorced me. Thanks to that, I met a wonderful person and even got to experience raising a child. Thank you for leaving me back then. I told them with a beaming smile. The look on George's face was so pale and comical as he opened and closed his mouth in shock. Seeing his face, I felt like I had cleared all the grievances of the past 5 years. Right after the divorce, my ex-mother-in-law had been bustling about trying to find a young woman willing to marry a middle-aged, overweight man. George, but she couldn't find anyone. Even if George had been younger, it would have been tough with such a mother-in-law. Despite asking acquaintances or joining mixers, there were no results. Their dream of a quick remarriage met with harsh reality. Then George's grandmother developed dementia. That's when my ex-mother-in-law must have thought, why not bring me back? Such foolish people. Why would they think I'd be happy after 5 years? I'm very happy now. Because I have a kind husband and a lovely 7-year-old daughter. I met my husband through Maggie's introduction, and we started dating. We hit it off as both of us were divorced, and we eventually got married. I was worried about getting along with Sophie, but it's been almost 4 years since we remarried. We've truly built a normal parent-child relationship. There may be challenges ahead. But I will do anything to protect my daughter. Whether we're blood-related doesn't matter. Sophie is my daughter, after all.